Hi everyone. Happy Sunday. Let's see, I mentioned this last time and I hope I'm not losing track. I didn't go back and listen to the video like I usually do. But I wanted to just move forward, and I'm going to maybe share some details from what it was like for me kind of over the winter. I think the biggest detail goes back to cancer treatment. I was on this medication and the pain was increasing in my back. I also had sharp neuropathy. Sorry, I almost forgot the word. In my toes that was really bad. And I was trying to figure out kind of what the connections were. And I love my doctor, my oncologist is wonderful, but there were all these pieces I was giving them of symptoms I was having, and they were increasing along with the fatigue and the joint pain from the estrogen blockers that were part of my cancer treatment. And so anyway, this is where I say I wish I could have shared this early journey. There were just so many hilarious moments and beautiful moments and videos I would have loved to share while I was going through the winter in southern Utah. But ultimately, the pain was increasing and I was getting worse, and also the situation at work was getting worse. The program manager left, and so did the head of HR, and they were the two people that agreed with the managerial style I believe in, which is a motivational style, not an intimidation or fear-based, driving fear in employees to do their jobs. I just don't think that ever works. And I also don't think it helps to drive fear in anyone, obviously. Otherwise, I wouldn't do the work I do. But what happened is things were getting much worse there, and I was really miserable. But the hardest part was I was having to make sure, like while I was traveling, I was having to make sure that I had enough internet to do my job and to still perform well. And there were a lot of times where it was glitchy and I had issues, and this wasn't typical of me, but I mean, I worked through them. And like I said, I learned a lot, and I'll share some videos on what I learned for anybody that's living off grid. I know how to make a great solid battery pack with, and how to best utilize solar energy for the situation I was in. So anyway, but getting past that, I want to talk about what started to happen. So I was fearing that a lot of the way I felt was a hormone imbalance brought on by the fact that the exemestane, I was kind of on it and off it, not regular, and it's hormone treatment. And hormone treatment, you have to be really, really consistent. And so it was really important for me to rectify that. So in February, sorry, I was looking at my dog. In February, I stopped my hormone treatment, and I stopped for the full month. And what happened is, this is the last stage of my cancer treatment. And what happened is I started on it so you're supposed to take one pill a day, but you build up to it. So I was on one pill a week to start for March. And so in March, I took one pill per week, and the back pain returned, and the fatigue and joint pain. They said the back pain, they didn't think it was related, or the neuropathy, but the neuropathy returned as well. And I was just, the back pain was the worst part of it. It was right in my middle back, and I thought it might be related to joint pain, and because back, it could be. You could look at the spine as having joints in it. If I don't, know the full effect, they're not fully sure why it causes joint pain. But, so through March, I had that. Well, in April, I went to 2 per week, and it increased significantly. The back pain was worse. Keeping me up at night sometimes. I had what I thought was sciatica, but it was shooting down the front of my legs, which is strange, because that's not what sciatica usually does, but it felt the same way. So it was another level of neuropathy, I thought, or something. Anyway, so I thought I had a real back problem, and I couldn't imagine why, because my lifestyle didn't lend itself to, I hadn't injured my back, I hadn't done anything to throw it out. So what happened is in May, I tried to go to 3 pills a week, became so sick. Like the first day I took my third pill, it was like having the flu. I was so sick, and I'm like, oh, I can't go to 3 pills a day. So for May, I'm going to stay on 2 pills. So I went through like a day or two being really super sick, and literally like flu symptoms, like fever. I had a lot of pain. I was suffering a lot of kidney infections, so many kidney infections. I was, in fact, one time at one point, I had a high fever and I was worried I was going septic again. Like, I was just really miserable. And, I kind of tried to wonder, I started to wonder if it was the way I was living. But what happened is by the end of May, it was really bad. So I said, I need to stop taking this medicine. I also was getting so bad at work. The way they were just abusive, literally abusive to employees. And I couldn't accept that. I couldn't accept watching my team being treated the way they were. And then what they did is they put out this really intimidating, horrible policy that was really aggressive in nature and accusatory. And then they started violating their own policy, and it just really became too much for me. So mid-May, I quit my job. I did not have another job. I had been looking, but not really finding what I wanted. And it was really kind of heartbreaking seeing what they were doing to employees. But I'm like, I can't be here anymore. So I committed to stay until May 31st. I'm like, I'll stay through the month, finish my deliverables, my responsibility as a supervisor, but then I have to go. I can't be with this company anymore, because it was very clear to me at this point it wouldn't change. There were all these other points in time where I thought it could improve, and they seemed to be listening to my feedback. But at this point, I'm like, this is never going to change. So I quit. Well, my last day was May 31st. I also quit taking my exemestane that week, but that seemed to be a little late. On June 1st, my kidneys failed. It was the most excruciating pain I've ever felt. And I knew just what it was. I had every single symptom of kidney failure. And kidney failure, they don't have any noted cases of kidney failure with exemestane, but they do with anastrozole, the other histamine, it's not a histamine blocker. It is a hormone blocker, an estrogen blocker. So I thought, well, if they both are blocking estrogen, it could be that it could be the same kidney failure they recognize there. And what happened is my kidneys failed, and from the 1st of June to the 25th of June, I was in like level 10 pain. I had just quit my job and was going to use the month of June to find other work. And what happened is apologies for the noise in the background. That's the radio for the park. Anyway, I ended up in the hospital. I know I'm running out of time again, but I ended up in the hospital, and on June 25th, the day after my birthday, I ended up in the hospital I hadn't eaten for several days. I'm going to probably go a little over this time, I guess, but I hadn't eaten for several days because I couldn't. Anytime I'd eat, I'd throw up, or I had zero appetite. I was quite literally wasting away. My body was, I'm going to stop this for a minute. Okay, sorry about that. I interrupted my own thing. But what ended up happening is about 3 or 4 days before, so on or around the 22nd or 23rd of June is when I think it fully happened. I couldn't eat anymore. I couldn't drink. I went a couple days. I went to the store and I got a bunch of like protein shakes and things that would be like drinks instead of having to really eat, yogurt, things like that, vegan yogurt. And I told myself, okay, if I can't eat by Monday morning, I'm going into an urgent care and finding out what this is. I felt my kidneys were functioning. because early June I had all the symptoms of kidney failure. But by this point, all the symptoms of the kidney failure now were gone. But this pain, this horrible pain in my side, and sorry, I had alarm come up. This horrible pain in my side was just, it just wasn't leaving. So I told myself I would do that. And so on Sunday morning, I literally, by about noon Sunday, the most I could stomach was 5 bites of coconut milk yogurt. That was all I could stomach. My body would not eat anything else. And I just thought, I can't wait. I can't wait until Monday. I had lost 30 pounds in less than 3 months. My body was cannibalizing itself. If you see me now, if you ever knew how muscular I was, I had big biceps. I'm very small now. I'm very thin. I'm very wasted away. I was very emaciated, and I just knew I had to get in. And so I went back into the hospital. I went into the urgent care first, who sent me to the hospital, who then they admitted me. And I was there for several days, and mostly they were trying to manage the pain. But what I had was thrombosis. So as a cancer follow-up, I want to make sure everyone knows that. It was middle back pain, which can be kidneys. That it could have been my kidneys. The back pain wasn't as present with the thrombosis. This was felt like it was in my kidney. It was right below my left rib, all through that side. Horrible stomach pains. These were stabbing like nerve. It felt like nerve pain. And what that was is I had thrombosis in my spleen, and my entire digestive system was full of it. And so that's why my body was rejecting food. So for my first, I think 36 hours in the hospital, I was not allowed to have any type of, not even clear liquid. I couldn't even drink water. I was on an IV drip, but I couldn't even drink. Nothing by mouth was the rule. So if I was thirsty, I had to swab. I did talk them into a few ice chips, but I could only have like one of the little tiny ice chips like every 15 to 30 minutes. And so it was pretty bad. I was in really bad shape again. And then they moved me to clear liquids for like a couple days, and then finally I was able to start eating again, which felt I was ravenous. I ate all my meals at the hospital. Anyway, so the thing is neuropathy, the back pain, all the symptoms I was having were all symptoms of thrombosis. So I think it's really important that, even as being treated for cancer, thrombosis is common. I'm on a blood thinner now for a while. I don't think I'll be on it forever, but they say I could be. But really, I think it really is important to not just look at one answer to these questions we have when we're in treatment, but it's really important to look at it and say, what else could it be related to cancer? Because the thrombosis was, even if it was caused by my radiation, it was definitely complicated by the exemestane. Because the minute I started taking exemestane, the first day I started taking pills, I got the back pain. And while I was taking it, I had the neuropathy. And when I stopped taking it, those things went away. So it was obviously aggravating it. The minute, now being off of it, it'll take, it could be 6 months to a year before my hormones regulate, and I am on the blood thinner. So even when they sent me home from the hospital, they sent me home with Oxy. It was the only thing that would touch the pain. And I hate it because I'm allergic to it. So I have side effects, but it was the only thing when I get that level 10 pain that would work. So if it got too bad that I couldn't bear it, I would go ahead and take it. So, and that was it. they said, well, you have to go home. We have to hope those blood clots break up, and we have to just give you blood thinners. The blood thinners gave me some pretty bad side effects, so I talked to the pharmacist and went through very detailed with them, and and they agreed with me that I really felt strongly that I could do aspirin instead. So I'm doing a low dose aspirin instead. What I want to talk about next week, and this is much a reminder to me as it is to you, because I am going to disconnect here in a minute, is the importance of intuition. You know, I do train people how to use their brain in this way, but the entire time I went through this, I utilized that left-right brain relationship that is literal. I'll talk about it more next time. I utilized everything that I've done with my brain in this program to advance it, and I really do believe it saved my life. It was every right decision. By mid-July, so I was in the hospital for almost a week, or no, maybe 5 days. And then I was, after that, shortly after, I picked up some kind of flu or something. So I was down for another 2 weeks sick. So we're talking from the beginning of June to mid-July. And this was supposed to be the time I was supposed to be looking for another job. So I want to talk about what happened next. So this is my darkest moment where I said, I thought, when I lost my dad last year, and when I lost my home, and when I went through that whole process, that was that darkest before the dawn moment, that moment where I can't really see what good is going to come of it. But I mean, I know it will. I have faith in it from what I have learned doing the work I do. But it broke me open at that point to doing what I did with the trailer. This was giving me the life I love. But it was really this thing I went through June and July that really drove it home. So I had to have another very difficult June and July to have this wake up in August that transformed my life. So I want to talk about that transformation next week. And I will share more details. I'm kind of rushing through the story, so I will share more details to help people along the way. But next week, I really want to talk about how important that intuition is, especially when you're a person going through something like cancer. I mean, cancer treatment almost killed me 3-4 different times. So, and actually I did. My heart stopped at one point during one of the surgeries. So it is very important to find that compass, find that point on the horizon, have something in you that can give you that point to get through that. So I'll talk about that more next time. So I went over about 20 minutes this week, but I just want to thank you all. I'm just so grateful. I'm so grateful for all of you and your support. Really quick before I go, the mentorship program, people are asking me about it. I will be sending out emails. So if you want an email about the mentorship program, please put it in the chat, or send me a message, send me an email, say you want on the email list, contact me in some way to let me know you want on that list. And I'll include you in the email that's going out, hopefully tomorrow or the next day. So anyway, I'm going to go before I end up going over 20 minutes. I just want to thank everyone so much again for your support. I'm really excited for what's next, and I'm super excited to share next week what my breakthrough was. So have a great Sunday. I hope everyone has a beautiful week.